Welcome to SquatUniversity. This is the ultimate RDL tutorial.
Get up and get down, get up and get down.
Hey guys, thanks so much for stopping by the YouTube channel. Let's first start off with the two most common mistakes we see with the RDL. The first is just dropping the chest and leaning forward. No hip hinge at all. It's just leaning the chest forward. The second problem we often see is maybe you do start off with the hips well, but you go so low that you lose your back positioning and your posture and you let your upper back round. So we're not maintaining that ideal flat back that we want to see. Those are the most common mistakes with the RDL. So what I want to do today is bring you through a couple different tips to how you can perfect your hip hinge with your RDL and get the most out of this lift. So first things first, how do you hip hinge? Here's a couple different tips that can help you. The first, we're gonna use a small band set up in a rack like this. Sam's gonna walk forward until there's just a little tension. Now the idea with the hip hinge is we're moving about the hips. The hips are going back and the chest is going forward. A lot of people don't understand how to feel this properly. This helps because the band is pulling the hips back. So it's leading you to understand how that shift should pull the hips back. Now, notice his toes are not popping off the ground with this. While you're going through the hip hinge and while you're going through the RDL, you want to maintain that ideal balanced foot. So the tripod foot of the heel, base of the first toe, base of the fifth toe, that tripod foot is still staying intact the entire time. We're not shifting weight back onto the heels. Even though his hips are going back, his chest is leaning forward enough to where he's properly hinging and staying balanced. If you're doing this properly, you should feel a little bit of a stretch in the hamstrings. If you don't, slow it down. Taking 3 seconds to drop down and really make sure that you're balanced can help you feel this in your hamstrings a little bit more, which is the primary movement within the RDL, or the primary mover, or your hamstrings. Now, let's say you're done with that and you still want to perfect your RDL. Let's talk about one more way that you can teach a proper hip hinge. This is one that has a little bit more of a funny cue. You're gonna take a plate and you're gonna put it on your butt. Now, you're gonna stand behind a wall. Here's your cue. In this position, you are going to push the weight through the wall behind you. Push it with your butt to smash through the wall, and you're gonna use the cue, shoot a bullet out of your butthole. Yes, that's a funny cue, but it works for some people. Again, the idea is learning how to hip hinge. How do we get the hips to be the main mover? We're not just dropping our chest, we're moving about our hips. In this position down here, you should feel lengthening, a little stretch in the hamstrings. You should feel your glutes working. And this cue can help a lot of people finally make that mind-muscle connection. Again, we're keeping a balanced foot. His weight is evenly distributed across the heel, base of the first toe, and base of the fifth toe. He's not rocking back onto his heels. If he posteriorly shifts too far and he comes up on his toes, so let your toes pop up a little bit, do you feel like how that instantly takes away the feeling in the posterior chain? So again, if you're not feeling this in your glutes and especially your hamstrings, which are the prime mover with the hip hinge and RDL, make sure you're balanced across your full foot. So when those hips go back, your chest comes forward, we're smashing the plate into the wall and shooting the bullet out of your butthole. I know it's funny, but it works for some people. All right, so now that we're done with that, let's pick up that RDL again, or the barbell again, and let's go through your RDL one more time. So again, we're gonna start at the top, and this is something, we're obviously doing it with a barbell today, but you could do this just as well with 2 dumbbells. But the idea is you're gonna stiffen your core, his upper ribs and pelvis are locked in this position, okay? We're not overextending, so show that overextended posture that you'll see a lot of people, big chest. Nope, we don't want that. We wanna maintain that locked, stacked torso position, and then the exact same cues from the hinge apply as well. So from here, he's gonna maintain that, hips go back, chest comes forward, that barbell is tracing right down his shins, he's maintaining that good flat back position, and then coming back up. Oftentimes, I will tell people, only go down to the position where you're feeling a great stretch within your hamstrings. You do not have to touch this as ground. Everyone's going to be a little bit different as far as how deep they can go with an RDL and still get a lot of benefit from this. Some people have fairly flexible hamstrings and they can go all the way down while maintaining that flat back. Other people, it's just to the tops of the knees or just below the knee. Now, let's also talk about head position with this. It is not a bad thing to have a straightforward gaze. I don't necessarily want you to look up, because then we're putting ourselves in a lot of hyperextension, and sometimes that messes up everything else that's going down here, maybe turning it into a little bit more of a squat. I would say for most people, you're gonna want more of a straightforward gaze or slightly down in front of you, maybe 15 feet. But that's gonna help you just concentrate and lock everything up here and help you maintain your balance. Don't look up excessively, and also don't look down at the ground at your toes. That's gonna be the most helpful for a majority of people as far as maintaining your balance. So again, let's go over your cues at the very end, okay? We're standing tall, we're stacking our torso. Good stiffness and stability here. If I could come up and give him a little karate chop, he's not gonna be able to feel it because he's bracing his core. A helpful cue, sandwich drill. Expanding laterally and stiffening before you start to move can be very helpful. And then from there, he's going to hinge with the 2 different cues that we gave. Let that bar trace basically down the top of his shins, all the way down. This bar can almost touch your shins for most people. And then coming back up. If you are feeling this in your low back, you are not moving about your hips correctly and bracing optimally. So you should not feel an RDL in your low back at all. If you do, go back to our original 2 cues of the banded hip hinge drill or the plate hip hinge drill and find that optimal coordination of moving about your hips. This should only be felt in the hamstrings and the glutes. Making sure that we're keeping a good balanced foot as well. So that is the ultimate RDL tutorial. Thank you, Sam, for being my model with this one. Guys, go follow Sam on YouTube. I'll put his channel link in the description of this video. If you guys have any questions about the RDL, let me know, or if there's any other videos you want me to make in the future, let me know as well so I can make content that continues to help you in the gym and in life. Until next time, guys, happy squatting.
They say that energy flows where attention goes, so I pay no mind. Why waste my time with all these negative cats scratching? So caught up in their egos, these people have lost.